Welcome to the PVN College podcast, where our goal is to grow students in the love and knowledge of Jesus Christ. In today's episode, we're going to talk about sleep. Why is it so important and how you can get more of it?
Our guest today is Jeff Holloway. Jeff is the owner of CrossFit Rome. So Jeff, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Now I say welcome back because you were actually in episode 10 with us talking about physical and spiritual health. So this is you're now kind of in the inner circle, man. The inner circle of returning guests.
I love it.
It's I would say it's a high honor, but I guess I'll let you be the judge.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Whatever we can get, right?
I didn't ruin it the first time, so I'll take it.
Oh, it's good, man. It's good. So, the reason I wanted to bring you back is, back in episode 10 on our podcast, you mentioned sleep several times when we were talking about just becoming a more healthy person, both physically and spiritually. And I think sleep is... I think it's pretty obvious. This will be, with so much controversy going on, I think this is one of the few things that there won't be a lot of controversy on, is that everyone enjoys sleep, I think, especially college students. I think it's a fan favorite. And I never even napped much in my entire life until I got to college. And even then, though, the reason I napped was because my sleep schedule at night was just in disarray. It was just in horrible shape. But so as we get into this, Jeff, why is sleep so important? How does it help us? Why is sleep so good?
Oh, that's a great question. So being able to understand some of the benefits from sleep, as you were saying, is I don't think anybody's going to argue with, is sleep good, right?
Right.
You start looking at things like sleep factors or being able to not have enough sleep. I just wrote a few things down, increase the risk for diabetes, increase risk for high blood pressure, decrease memory cognition, decrease the ability to concentrate, problem solve. It weakens your immune system. It increases your risk for heart disease. It increases the ability to gain weight. And the list goes on and on and on.
Wow.
And I'm never in a conversation with somebody about sleep and it being an argument ever, right? You're like,
right.
Hey, is sleep good? Most people are like, yes, sleep is good.
Right.
But I think getting behind or to the why for sleep and how that actually translates to people's lives, feet on the ground, that's really kind of where I try to get to a little faster. So that's really when we start looking at the way the brain works, the way the heart works, the way your immune system works, the way you regulate your moods. All of those are related to sleep. So there's some pretty, there's some pretty big things on this list for why sleep is super important. So.
Yes, 100%. Well, and so just to be clear, that list you had earlier: increased risk of diabetes, increased unhealthy weight gain, things those are connected to lack of sleep. Was that what you were saying?
Yeah. Wow. And we were talking about lack of sleep. Let's say anything under the average of 7 hours. Wow. This isn't if you have a terrible night's sleep. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about chronically 6, 5, 4 hours of sleep at night. Can we function off of it? Sure. Are you getting the best benefit for how your body's designed to work? No. So,
right. I think of a car.
So that's kind of as we're going.
I think of a car. Well, I was just going to say, I think of like a car where the oil light has been on for several days or even weeks, right? Does the car still run? Sure it does. Yep. But under the hood, things are being torn up that you're never going to see until it's just too late. Is that a fair analogy? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So Precision Nutrition is one certification that we follow with our nutrition stuff, and they have this really good infographic about kind of the 5 warning habits. A foggy mind, you're sick a lot, you're generally unhappy. I would even put it in the grumpy category. Struggles with weight, and anytime like exercising is harder than it normally is. So if we start looking at some of those warning signs that are unexplained through other circumstances, sleep might be one of the culprits.
Wow. Yeah. So, and for, just kind of my non-expertise 2 cents here, for me, there's one thing that I noticed. I am so much better when I get a good night's sleep, but even psychologically, just confidence-wise, I'm so much better on a day that I've gotten healthy sleep. I know, because I know sleep is important. Therefore, when I wake up in the morning knowing that I've gotten enough sleep, it's like I'm already waking up on a win. You know what I mean? I'm already waking up. I feel much more in control of my day, knowing that I haven't even left the bed yet, and I already feel in control of the day, knowing that because I know I've gotten enough sleep. I've read some things. Jeff Bezos, the guy who is the head of Amazon, basically, one of his big business principles, strangely enough, he tries to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep on the regular all the time. Now, does that mean that if you get 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night, you're going to become a billionaire? Well, no. But are the two related? I think so. Jeff Bezos seems to think so. And all these athletes, LeBron James is 36 years old, 37 years old. Federer is getting up in years, and they continually preach sleep. And so, you think of like all these people who want to be famous athletes and stuff, and they're in the gym, they're working hard, which is great. But LeBron's not out every night partying in LA. You know what I mean? He's asleep. He is trying to get that sleep, and I never knew how important it was. I had no idea it was as important as it was. So if sleep is so important, Jeff, why are we so tired? Why don't we get enough sleep? What are some factors that apply to us not getting enough sleep?
I think that can be as long a conversation as we need. I think in the years past, sleep is considered a weakness. I feel like we put a premium on busy and doing, and I've got stuff to do. And I think the more that we look into the research of sleep, we're finding that sleep is more important than the preconceived notion that sleep is bad, right? Naps are bad. Naps are for lazy people. Well, what they're finding now is that's not necessarily the case. So being able to first look at what the preconceived idea for what sleep is, I think needs to be revisited. I also think that when we're talking about like the inability to get enough sleep or not to get good sleep, you have to look at what is your environment for sleep. Is it conducive to sleeping? Are the lights on? Is it warm inside? Is it super loud? So that's the first piece. Second piece is, what does your routine look like going to sleep? How chaotic? Are you like partying and then coming in and like just trying to like find the bed as quickly as possible? Or are you studying all night and then just waiting for you to get so tired you can't function? Or are you playing on your cell phone? There's a lot of stuff right now, unfortunately, that looking at your cell phone right before bed increases your brain's movement. So being able to like turn that off. Or are you in a super chaotic environment with in college, everybody's had this experience, but you're having that heated conversation with your significant other and then try to immediately go to sleep. You're like, it's not going to happen. Right?
No.
You're up till 1, 2 in the morning chatting. Right. We've all done this.
Sure.
And then immediately going, because your brain's just continuing to spin. So one thing that we talk about is how is your environment and how are you setting yourself up for your environment to be able to find better sleep or better habits around sleeping. So those are just a few, but then you can get real specific for each individual person.
Right. I think it just depends on the person, but I think that is so key, man. We look at people who, they work so hard that they don't sleep, and it used to be we think, wow, they are so driven. I want to be like that, therefore I'm going to work through that. But really, I'd love to see a statistic of, I don't know, the wealthy, the famous, the whatever, who work through sleep and don't sleep. But if you just look at their Wikipedia page, you realize their life is kind of a mess. You know what I mean? There are a lot of them, even some of the great theologians of the day, John Calvin and some of these guys, they pushed so hard. Calvin died in his 50s, and what a lot of pastors have been saying is, nothing killed Calvin. Calvin killed Calvin because he pushed so hard that by the time healthcare wasn't what it was in his day, obviously, but by the time he got into his 50s, which is not that old, his body had just completely shut down. So I think you're right, that unhealthy stigma of no sleep means it's because you're busy being a hero, when in reality, you really need to check yourself. And then your environment, I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of times I think we don't work hard enough, if this is the right way to say this, we don't work hard enough to get good sleep. And it sounds like an oxymoron, but we don't do the work to edit our schedules or to try to remove things, to declutter our evenings to where our body can start to shut down. And then one of the other things that was super helpful for me once I got out of college is that I had to start getting up earlier for my job, for everything. And when I get up early, I just naturally, if I get up at 6 a.m., I'm just naturally more tired by 7 in the evening than in college. I sleep till 11:30 in the morning. Well, I'm not as tired at 7 o'clock in the evening now. So I think getting up early is we may hate it at first, but it really is helpful to getting your body into that kind of rhythm. Do those things make sense? Is that right?
Absolutely.
Am I off base there?
Yeah. I mean, my senior year of college is like same thing. I got my senior year of college. I had to wake up and open a gym in town, in the town that I worked in, and I had to be there at 5:30 in the morning. Well, you were either going to make some really bad life decisions and stay up till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then have to get up at 4:30,
right?
Or, like you were saying, you've got to find a different rhythm. And at that point, everything just started to kind of fall in place because I couldn't really deviate from it very much. If I wasn't headed towards home at 8 o'clock. Like I was going to pay for it the next day.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times people don't put themselves in a position where they have to do certain things. They choose to do a bunch of different things because they can.
Yeah.
And sometimes too many options can be dangerous.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. So as we're trying to get better sleep, we're trying to do better. A student comes to you in the gym and says, "Look, man, I'm really struggling with sleep. I'm not getting enough that I need." What are some practical ways that students, maybe 3 ways or 2 or 3 ways that students can cultivate some better sleeping habits?
Oh, that's great. All right, so let's talk about sleep specific to like when you were laying down. Like, do you have a decent mattress? Do you have a good pillow? Do you have a sound machine, or do you have a fan going? Yeah. How cold is it in the room? Like being able to set your environment up for no decisions have to be made. Like once you've made your pillow decision, that's done, right?
Right.
So I tell people, I'm like, make it super like comfy to sleep. Do the best you can. If you aren't in charge of your mattress, get a mattress topper. Spend some money on a good pillow. Don't get a crappy pillow because that stuff will stay with you for a while. I have slept with a sound machine or a fan since college, and I'm 36 now.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't go without it. And the argument a lot of times is, well, if you sleep with a sound machine, you're going to always have to sleep with a sound machine. I don't sleep with a sound machine like twice a year. I'll take it. So that's the first piece. Second piece is I actually back them up. Usually I can find more information going, walk me through the last hour of you staying awake. What are you doing? Did you eat a big meal? Start eating a smaller meal. Did you exercise earlier in the day rather than like right before you try to go to sleep? Because sometimes exercising is a little harder. Try taking a shower right before you go to bed. Reading is huge. Reading slows you down, calms you down over like checking your phone. Like one thing, I have my phone right here. One thing, if I'm constantly on this and this is putting me to sleep, it's really waking your brain up. That's the single biggest thing that when I'm talking to college students, I was like, you got to be real careful about your time on your cell phone before you go to sleep. Because you can read something and immediately start stirring an emotion, something completely unrelated potentially to what you were reading. And then making sure that you either put it on the nightstand or somewhere else. I know most people use it as an alarm clock, so you can't like throw it downstairs or something. But being able to get off of that helps tremendously. So being able to walk yourself into that last hour going, does the trajectory of your hour naturally lead you to bedtime? Or is the trajectory of that hour naturally going to wake you up? And kind of back into it. So those are the two of the biggest things that I will ask those questions, and I'll just keep digging.
Yeah, no, that is so helpful, man. That is so helpful. One kind of thing for me in closing, we always like to have a further resource for our students, and one of the things that I want to be sure people are aware of is a book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It's got like 9,000 reviews on Amazon, 4.5 stars. This is a big deal. So again, if anyone and again, like you said, what a better way to put someone to sleep than getting them to read about a book about sleep before bed. So it's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Jeff, this was so helpful, man. This was so helpful. Thank you for being with us today.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
For more information on this topic, message us on Instagram at PVN College. Listen to the PVN College podcast through Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. Watch this podcast on Instagram TV at PVN College or on our YouTube page, Pleasant Valley North. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.